Bortle here at YCS Niagara Falls, Ontario, Canada. My goodness, we have here two top 32 contestants running the same deck, minor differences. Please introduce yourselves to the world.
So I'm Matthew Brissenden.
I'm Imad Fajam.
Yeah, so we both made top 32 at YCS Niagara playing Rescue Ace. We basically played the same deck because we built the deck together, but there are minor differences in the side and one card in the main deck. So I'll be going through my deck profile, and as I go through it, Imad will be going over what he played different and why.
Okay, sweet. Yeah. Before we start the video, what made y'all decide to play this deck?
We were entering an unknown format into Rhoda. We weren't sure what to expect. We knew there was going to be Tempai, we knew there was going to be Snake. So we decided to go with a deck that had a stronger engine to play into boards, because we didn't want to play any hand trap boards or anything like that. And a lot of time when you open up engine hands, you can bring a lot of boards.
Yeah. So I was about the same. One of the other differences as well is that when I was looking at the expected decks for the event, I was worried about, because I used to play U-Bell, one of the big things I was worried about for U-Bell was that it didn't play well into any of the Molt Chummies, and it also didn't play well into Shifter. So I didn't want to play that deck because it seemed very poorly positioned for the event. So that removed it already. So after that, I basically narrowed it down to the fire decks, Snake Eye, Fire King, this deck, and Tempai. But the problem I had with pure Snake Eye and Fire King was I couldn't figure out a consistent way to beat the same issue of the same cards that beat U-Bell, right? You get shifted by, like Tempai or Ritual Beast or like a bunch of random road decks, and you just kind of sit there and you go, wow, none of my cards can activate, and you just pass, right? So in the end, I ended up setting on Rescue Ace because I really wanted to play Dominus Impulse, which I think was the craziest card this whole weekend, aside from like one other thing that I'll show after. And so I grinded it a lot over the last couple months, and I was very happy with how it turned out. Like, until Monday, I was still a bit between playing this or Tempai for the event, but I'm happy I stuck with this because I didn't want to play Tempai since I was bad at the mirror. So.
Before we get in, any shoutouts?
Yeah, so shoutouts to Sam for lending me the Bonfires and the Wanteds. Shoutouts to David for lending me the Thrusts. Shoutouts to the Council of Rabina, who I test and they helped me build my deck. Shoutouts to Andrew, Ryan, William. And shoutouts to the Untouched guys because y'all are great. So.
Yeah, same for me. Shout out to the Rabina Discord. Like, they're huge of us. Like, we're both on the same Discord. Also my Hamilton friends, Steve Santoli, Thomas, Gerard, rest of the Hamilton guys. I love you guys. So thanks for everything.
There you go. Don't forget to show us the top 32 dude.
So main deck was 45. So we played, for the Rescuers names, we played one Lifter because it's unfortunately limited. We played 2 Hydrants. We're not playing Featsmith cards, so this is not a 1-card combo for anything. So you don't want to play 3 anymore because you realistically want to get this off the Snake Eye cards. Sometimes it's fine to open depending on if you have like high engine hands, but generally speaking, you don't want to like open this all the time. So 2 was the perfect number, I think. We played 3 Impulse. This card was crazy. Every time I saw it, I was happy with it. It's great going first. It's great going second. It gets you to interruptions. It gets you to follow-up. Sometimes when you go second, you're okay with drawing 2 because you can use 1 on their turn and 1 on your turn.
Yeah, like this card is it's like you're cheating in a hand trap war with this card. If this card resolves, you're already ahead of the game.
Yeah.
You have your engine for next turn. You already have bodies on the board. It's just insane.
Yeah. I had a game where in round 9 against Rika where I opened my Fire Engine, and when he activated an effect to summon, I went Chain Impulse, Summon Preventer on his first turn, and because this summons whenever any Rescue Ace is summoned, I put this on board, which then got me to Lifter, which meant I had follow-up. I had 3 bodies on board on his first turn, and I had an interruption off of like basically like 2 cards, right? It was crazy. I was very happy with like this card. I don't think I'd ever play 1. I think you have to play 3 of this, especially because we're playing the Azamina engine, and one of the problems I have with this deck is that the monster count is somewhat low. So you need to maximize on not only names for your Rescue Ace cards to be live, but you also need to maximize on monsters because it means that your Azamina cards are more live more often. So very happy with that. For the big machines, we played 1 Fire Engine because this is what gets you to your follow-up through Impulse. 1 Turb, name of the game. You set 4, you win. I think every time I set 4, I did win the game.
I think I had one time where I lost, but it was just a very...
you basically, like, most games are lean towards your favor if this resolves. So I was very happy with it. We only played 1 because there aren't cards that incidentally snipe it anymore. Like, Cash isn't very relevant, so you're not getting randomly Arise Heart banished face down. You never want to see 2 of this. So I think 1 was fine.
And then the 2 Preventer.
2 Preventer, standard. You usually want 1 in deck, and then get 1 rotation on your field. This card does it all. You know, it's extender, it's interruption, it's a big body.
For the Rescue's engine itself, especially this big boy, I think it was just a perfect engine itself, exact count.
Yeah, I think the ratios for this were perfect, and I wouldn't change a thing in the monsters. For spells, the first difference, I played 2 emergency, and Matt played 3.
And you put the call by there.
Oh, and so what I did was I played in that spot. I played call by as a difference.
And I played 3 emergency.
Yeah. So the thing with this deck is that when you get shiftered, these cards are what get you to your full board under shifter. So, but my problem was, this is also a card that does nothing if you don't already have a Rescue Ace name in your hand. So, for the most part. So, I didn't want to add cards into my deck that do nothing by themselves. Callby does the same job into those shifter matchups, or into Fua, where you can chain emergency to Fuaros to get Tarb on board. They don't get a draw. You set 4 and you win, and they neg themselves for 1 for no reason. Callby does the same job there, so I thought Callby was fine in that spot.
I just like this card because I love opening all engine hands. So in the full engine hand of this card, it just makes it a lot better. So that was my reasoning for playing 3 emergency.
There was a lot of situations where my opponents would like imper me, you chain emergency, they go, oh yeah, I'm dead. So it was very good. Then we played the standard rescue alert. These cards were fine. HQ, this card was great. You just infinite grind with this card. You get the double normal. Sometimes you like, your opponent will like Dominus Impulse your Turb to stop it from getting out of hand, and then you can just tribute summon with the HQ because you get a second normal. I thought it was crazy.
Yeah, like I said, so Matt played out of meta. I played out of rogue, so this won me a lot more games than won him.
Yeah,
it's just insane.
Yeah, this is like single-handedly what gets you through any grindy matchup because you just keep setting for, and they can't keep up. We played the two standard traps that contain Extinguish. These were fine. I didn't have any problems with it. So, and then for the last generic spell, we played 1 Rhoda because you want Lifter often.
Impulse.
I actually opened Lifter a lot.
So did I.
I was very happy with that. Crazy card. So for the Sinful Spoil cards, we played 3 Wanted, 2 Witch. This was crazy. I didn't like opening Witch because Witch requires you to neg 1 at the start, and you don't have a guaranteed draw if they hand trap you. Whereas this, you usually have a guaranteed draw, even if they Dominus or Ash your original, right? So I think 2 was fine. I wouldn't play 1 because then you lose to your opponent Bestealing your Diabell Star, or like you randomly like get sniped by like a Fenrir that you have to trade for sometimes. And if you do that, like these Wands become dead, and like so many other cards just become like weird. So I was happy playing 2.
Like if I open up Witch, a lot of time I just set OSS. I wouldn't even set the Azamina cards.
That was one of the things I did too. Is because we have to play on Retaliating Sea, which is a very real card in this format. If this is your only starter, like seeing like 1 Witch or the Wanted, what we did was instead of going for the Azamina stuff, we would just go Witch, set the OSS, because if they have Ash or Dominus for this, it means that you have guaranteed follow-up on the next turn. Like if you have non-engine, you can like hopefully push through, or if they can't kill you, like then you have guaranteed follow-up.
Or you get the free draw if you have another Wanted.
Pretty much, right? But the issue is if you go for the Azamina engine as your only play, and your Deception gets ashed, or if your Hallowed Azamina gets Dominus Impulsed, you just lose the game on the spot because you don't have follow-up. You just negged yourself for free, right? Like, and your Deception is sitting on board, which we can't even get a draw of 1. So I was fine with how this worked out. These cards were great. And then we played Bonfire and the Poplar. I hate drawing this card, but we had to play this. Initially, I wasn't playing this in my list. I was playing a much slimmer, like 41 card list. But I was playing with one of my friends who also helped me build the deck. Shouts to Kevin. We realized that if we're playing an engine heavy deck that isn't playing the hand trap wars that every other deck is playing right now, you need to have as many pushes into non-engine and engine as possible, and this is just another way to keep pushing, right?
This is another card that in all engine hands you want to open up.
Yeah.
So this helps you get plays through a lot of stuff.
Yeah, card was crazy. I was very happy with it. We played the 3 Deception and the Hallowed. You're okay with opening this because you're playing a lot of Sinful Spoils, so sometimes you can just start first action Hallowed Azamina, and if you chain 1, for example, like you get a negate, and then you have full combo, and your opponent kind of just goes like, what am I supposed to do, right? This card was good to open. I would never play more than 1, obviously, but it was very good. I think I actually messaged you in the night before.
You're talking about playing. We were talking about cutting these down.
Yeah, I was thinking about playing a second one.
One. We also decided that this is actually just better to open than setting it off of OSS.
Yeah, this is another thing. I was initially playing 1 because I didn't like seeing it going second, but you need to see it when you go first because it helps push through all the hand traps. But it's also something that's easy to side out when you're going second. Like every time I go second, I always side out too.
Yeah.
So you just play the 1-1 so that if you have enough engine that overlaps, you can get to this. But it's not something that's going to clog your hand. So I was very happy with that. Then we played for non-engine, 3 Ash. We played Sunlight Wolf in the extras, so you can, in theory, like Ash a Furos, and then later in the combo, Sunlight Wolf get it back. But I think I summoned Sunlight Wolf one time, I think in 11 rounds.
Yeah, I did. Actually, we had played a little bit differently, so I did Sunlight Wolf almost every game.
Yeah.
So I added this back a bunch of times as well.
But the card was good. It did its job. Then we played 3 Imperm. Just a standard good hand trap. Like we wanted to have, because we're playing a limited number of non-engine, we wanted to have as many live cards as possible that actually did something good. Imperm is good, when you draw it, when you're interrupting your opponent. So
or you draw for 6 card even, like breaking your board.
Yeah. And then my favorite card in this, second favorite card in this deck, 3 Dominus Impulse. This card was insane. We don't play any card that conflicts with this card in our deck or extra deck.
Except for the Full Watson side deck, which is different.
That's the only exception. Everything else in our deck is water, fire, or dark. So this card was always live. Having 6 copies of what is essentially Ash Blossom against Tenpai is usually like the easiest way to win against that deck. It's great into like rogue matchups. It's great into like you sometimes you open like Imperm and Dominus and you just pop something and they like
game was like an FTK almost.
They're so far behind against you, like where you have like good engine and you just usually win. The card was insane. I love that card. Huge fan. Part of why I wanted to play a fire deck.
And the last 3 non-engine is the perfect one. Here we go.
We played 3 Super Poly. So initially, I was looking at what I wanted to play in this last spot because when I was building this deck, I knew I wanted to play Dominus Impulse, but the problem is that cuts out a lot of non-engine that you can play. So like I couldn't play Veilers, I couldn't play Nibs, I can't play Drolls, for example, because those all conflict with Dominus Impulse. So I figured, what would be the best way to approach that? And the answer we figured out was Super Poly. This card is insane when you go first or second. It's good in the mirror, it's good into U-Bell, it's good into Snake, because all those decks have very super polyable boards. No one's playing around it either. So, like, against Snake Eye, for example, they'll like push up the IP with the negate on board, the Azamina negate, and you super poly those for Mud Dragon, and you just killed, 3 interruptions in one. They have their negate engrave now, so you can like steal with a dark. The card was crazy.
I was initially on like Droplets or Crow, but he was the one who got me on these.
Yeah.
And like I don't regret it at all. I played against 2 Centurion decks like in Swiss, so these just auto won those matchups.
Yeah. I was a big fan of this card. Extra deck. We're playing
Same
level
extra.
Same extra. We're playing 1 because level 1s. The 1 Sunlight Wolf. I think this is wrong. I got bullied into playing this personally, but I think this should have been Typhon or Underworld Goddess. Big fan of both those cards. This card was, I think, even though I summoned it once, I only did it to link off a Promethean. So
yeah, I do this all the time. I was doing this almost every single game.
Yeah. So the card did its job for Imad, but not for me. 1 Hida, 1 Dark. Your Snake Eye opponent's graveyard, you use that graveyard better than they use their own graveyard. So you're taking their Ash to search a Hydrant. You're taking their Oak to summon back your Hydrant. You're taking their Negate with the Dark. You're taking Deep Star to get more interaction. Like, these cards were so broken. I don't know why. Sometimes I don't know why they're legal, but they're crazy. 1 Phoenix. This deck has trouble getting rid of the back row usually. So you want to have as many ways to get to back row removal as possible. Because I personally wasn't playing any back row removal on the side either. This card's also required for the Zealantis OTK on an empty board. And also, sometimes you do get the draw a lot off the culling. So it was good. I played 1 IP, 2 SP. You make the first SP on your first turn a lot to dodge imperms on Turbulence. But and then you make the second one on the follow-up turn if you can't kill them. This was okay. I think I summoned it once.
I summoned it once. I just think it was more of like a theory between if we get Full Ross or Perilliad, we have like a half board.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd play this in the future, but it did its job in theory.
I was doing Sunlight Wolf with IP board. That's what I was doing.
Yeah, I never got through this. We played the 1 Promethean because it's a fire deck. This card was crazy. I don't think I need to explain these, but it makes it going for games so easy.
This is that once a match at least. You do that.
I make it like twice a match, really. We played the Super Poly targets of Garua and Mud Dragon. Initially, I was thinking about playing Dragostapelia to fuse off Verudris and Desiree against Yubel, but the problem with that is that when you fuse those off for Dragostapelia, the Desiree immediately trades with it because it uses the effect to send it, so you don't get any value out of it, whereas if you fuse away with Super Poly like Mud Dragon plus the Verudris, you not only get the Verudris, but then you either trade for the Desiree because they have to negate this because it's now turning off your Solar Rage if they're playing the Chamber, or if they're playing Escape, then you just shut off their entire board anyways, right? And you're just only having to deal with Phantom and Desiree, which I am more than okay with. So these are good. And then last two were the Azamina fusions. This I summoned a lot, but most of the time I just summoned it from my opponent's grave because they put it in there for free. This I summoned like twice.
I summoned this a lot. I was always doing this into this like all the time. I was playing against a lot of rogue, not playing against a lot of meta.
I usually got hand trapped out of it, so I never got to like really make this a lot. So, but in theory, it is crazy. You have to play it. So I thought the extra deck, aside from Sunlight Wolf, was good. Side deck, card of the format. This card was crazy every time I saw it. I think I won every game I saw it. Especially because in this deck, you're okay, because the problem with Furos is that if you Furos and draw face, for example, against a lot of the combo decks, sometimes they'll open like 3 hand traps and they'll just pass. They won't give you any draws, right? But the thing is Rescues is one of those decks that even if you can make your opponent pass turn on nothing or on like a very limited board, you usually crack those boards, right? And so like you're okay with either they pass or they give you draws, because if you're playing an engine heavy deck and they give you like 3-4 draws for no reason and make a full board, you're pushing through that board no matter what, because all your Rescues cards just keep floating and floating and floating and plussing, and you just get to the point where you've burnt all their interruptions and you still have engine, right? And you keep pushing. So this card was good. Then we played 3 Thrust because I was afraid of Tempai and of getting hand trapped to death. Card was good. I saw it a couple times.
I never resolved it, but put the targets for it.
Yeah, so we played 2 targets. We played 1 DDG. This was for Yubel and Snake and the other combo decks that died to this card. And then the other card we played was specifically for Tempai, which was Threatening Roar. Because the problem with D-Barrier is D-Barrier gets cross-outed. They can still kill through D-Barrier on an empty board, for example, with the Doolittle Chimera line. So we wanted a card that definitively said, skip your Tempai opponent's turn. I had a Tempai opponent actually pick this up after I thrust it and took a second to read it and was like, who plays this, right? So that was very funny.
I never got a Tempai matchup. He got a few, I know that.
I got a couple, yeah. So I was very happy with playing Threatening Roar. I don't think I would ever play D-Barrier in that spot, even though I lost to Ritual Beast in my top card match, which is the only time D-Barrier would have been better over this, but I think overall it did its job. I'm very happy with it. The last trap we played is Reinforce. This is for playing against Breaker matchups and grindy matchups and also Tempai, because this is more useful than Contain in those matchups, since this card just resets your continuous spells for follow-up. This card makes your Turbulence unkillable, right? It's just so good.
Yeah, any grind matchup, you just decide going first, and you just decide him setting it, and it can't kill you, and you just get the follow-up.
Yeah, and you just keep grinding forever. And then, so this is where our list is different. So I played 3 Phantasme and I played 3 Dogwood. I didn't play a single spell trap removal in my side deck because I put the pairings on better pairing against Runic Stun, and I did. My only loss in Swiss, by the way, was to Runic Stun. So I got punished, but I was overall happy with this card. Was crazy. Every time I saw it, I was very happy with it. I sided this in 1 time total. It could have been Cosmic. But
so in my defense, I played 2 Cosmic. I expected Rogue. I also respected Centurion, and I played 2 in Swiss, and then it was really good. And then my other 3 were the Called By and the 2 Perilia. I did Perilia over Phantasme. I just thought Perilia put a lot more pressure. I understand that Phantasme was the targeting effect, but I played, like I said, I played Rogue. So this card actually came up like 3 or 4 times.
Yeah. Overall, the deck was very nice. I liked it a lot. I'd play it again. Yeah.
I would definitely play it again. Yeah. This was probably the most fun tournament I've ever had playing it.
I had a lot of fun playing it. So.
Sweet. Congrats, guys, on both your top 32s. Until next time, everyone.
All right, thank you.